Now, secret number 2, how to make it happen. Many small business owners think, I'm not good at the technical stuff, let alone what to write in those emails. I want to share with you, though, a quick story. So remember marketing, and we went through the process there to develop the follow-up formula, going through and actually putting the follow-up in place. Then Brett, we had this formula for webinars, but they were for an automated webinar. Then had this customer come to me, built it, and I started doing before this time, I started doing what we were doing on the webinars, on the automated webinars, action, trust, conversion. I started doing it in lead generation campaigns, started seeing results internally. Then I started doing it on live webinars, and I started doing it on all sorts of campaigns. And we'd been doing it all along for many years in my business. I just didn't realize it was a formula. We just did it. Okay, we need to do this. We need to do some trust, and we need to, then sell to them. And I didn't put it into the formula until much, much later. But Built.her came along, and they didn't have any action, trust, and conversion process in their campaigns at all. In actual fact, they had a bucket load of lead generation campaigns. And when I say lead generation, they had one opt-in. So they would opt in, they would send an email, and they'd deliver whatever it was, and they'd have no trust or conversion phase whatsoever. Okay, they had literally about 17 opt-ins. They were all getting good opt-ins. They were getting good numbers on the database, but they were relying on their weekly broadcast, their weekly newsletter to get any conversions. Well, then every now and again, they do a broadcast to the database to get people to come along to a webinar. And they were getting such low conversions, such low open rates, such low conversions from these campaigns. And so they took my advice. Initially, they looked at me and said, "Oh, do we really have to do that?" And I said, "Yes, yes, you actually do. You have to do this action, trust, and conversion phase." In actual fact, we built one conversion campaign. Now, the action was actually done inside each of the little opt-in campaigns. So when someone opts in, they get their action-based email. Okay, so that was all inside there. Then we built this monster. Pardon me, as it looks, I can't even show you the whole thing on the screen. We built this campaign. And so they go into the trust phase. So the action is done separately, okay? Then they go into this trust phase that goes for 5 emails long. And then they go into this conversion phase that is a little bit longer. There's a bit of conversion, a bit of content, conversion and content. We built out this and tested it and got it running. Now, in this campaign here, out of 294 people, do the math, that went into this campaign, they got 46 customers, okay, just from people opting in. So they opt in for a lead magnet, and then we put them into this conversion campaign where we take them on a journey. 46 customers, that's a 15% conversion. Now, here's where it gets really cool. Their lead cost is $5 per lead, okay? So it's about $1,500 in ad spend to get 294 people. And they're getting sales at $1,000 per customer. That's $49,000 in sales for $1,500 in ad spend, just because we put this follow-up formula process in place, action, trust, and conversion. Now, who wants to get that sort of conversion on their campaigns? You've just got to put it in place. You've got to follow the formula and put it in place. It's super important, but it's also super simple. So many of us are putting up this barrier and not letting ourselves take that next step, yeah? Do you think they're on the path to double the sales? Absolutely. They did more than double the sales from the lead generation campaigns because they weren't getting any sales from them, literally. We just followed the formula. From before, there was nothing to now 7.5% to 15% conversion. 7.5% is the average, but it spikes up. And we haven't discovered why the spike is there, but it spikes up to 15% conversions. So they know they can spend X amount of money on an ad campaign and get X amount of money at the other end and get X amount of customers. Super cool. They just do the math and then they up the ad spend because the follow-up is in place and it's working, it's converting, okay? So background is we used a tried and tested formula and created a template from it. In actual fact, we just created that for one, and then 17 lead magnets all feed into the same template. And then we adjusted it for the relevant campaign that is. So we did it once there, and then in each of their other individual niches they have in their business, we repeated it, and we've done it now 3 and 4 times. We're just using the template in their business and changing the wording in there, changing the content in there, changing the conversion in there, well, that's relevant for that particular niche, okay? 3 or 4 times, getting exactly the same results. Every campaign that we're running it in is getting between a 7.5% and a 15% conversion in each of their slightly different niches. Just using exactly the same one. What we do is we copy that campaign, we go and put it into another campaign, they go in and personalize the emails, change the links inside there, and we make it live, and it works every single time. Super cool. Who wants that in their business? Results from a live webinar, okay? So that was a lead generation campaign. This is a live webinar campaign. Pat Mesiti, started working with Pat Mesiti a couple of years ago, and we just followed the formula. He was getting industry average show rates on his live webinars, okay? About 30% show rate is industry average for a live webinar. So we put an action in place for when they register, okay? We put trust in place between the registration and when they have to turn up to the live, okay? We've got to build trust through that whole phase, okay? And then the webinar is actually building trust as well. It's part of the trust building phase and the conversion phase. And then we did conversion after the event. So the 3 phases: action, trust, conversion. Usual webinars getting 30%. He was getting about 30, sometimes a little bit less than 30. Now he's getting 40 to 50% show rate on his webinar just by implementing the action and the trust. And then the sales from that come higher as well. So this is all it is. When someone opts in, we register them through a system, and then they get their welcome email, so their action-based email. Then they get trust email here 9 days before, trust email here 1 week before, 3 days before, 24 hours before, 1 hour before, and then we give it going live. And so we implement emails and SMS. SMS is super important for webinars. If you're running webinars, got to have SMSs in place, okay? Trust building phase comes afterwards. Now, do you think that Pat's on the path to getting double the sales and Build Her are on the path to getting double the sales? Absolutely they are. Action, registration, we send an email and an SMS. In actual fact, on all of my webinars, I send a Bonjoro as well, that personalized message, an automated trigger to send a personalized message where I can make it about them and what they're going to learn. I can use their name. They can see my eyes. They can see I'm doing something for them. I spend 15 minutes a day sending these personalized messages. Increases the show rate even above 50%. My last webinar, I got 70% show rate just by implementing the Bonjoro. Trust, emails and SMS, 3, minimum of 3 inside there. If we can do 5, we do 5 as well. And then conversion, we get them to buy after the webinar, 3 emails after getting them to buy. This formula went from 30 to 50%. That's 20% more customers to sell to. We've got to maximize every single lead that's coming in there and build a relationship with them while we're doing that.